Hi, and welcome back to my farm. I'm going to start tonight by showing you the latest thing I've added into my farm here. So let's just go for a little walk. I've actually got all four of my tractors unlocked at the moment, so I'll show you why, because it's not often I've got all my tractors being used. Oh, one thing you will notice is I've put the junk back in my farm, so I've got like the car wreck, the skip bin, some piles of gravel and loose bricks and things here, and this piece of machinery in the shed over here. I had them, I took them out, and now I've put them back in. If we wander over this way, I'll show you the latest thing I've got in the farm. Now, notice this gate here has mesh in the bottom. And no, that's not to keep the bees in, that we're about to see or hear. But I now have some rabbits. Now, the idea of the rabbits here, they do make money for me every month, but the idea behind it is that I've got mesh on the gate and I've got fences so that the rabbits stay in these hutches here. They don't get to run around wild. But if, like, one of the kids takes the rabbit out of the hutch to pet and the rabbit managed to wriggle out of their grip, being fenced in here, obviously a rabbit could tunnel under the fence or tunnel under the gate given time, but it would take a bit of time to do that. So it means that as long as you've remembered to shut the gate over there before you taking the rabbits out of the hutches, then if one does wriggle out of your way, you'll have a chance to catch it again before it gets away. So the last thing we want is a rabbit infestation on the farm and have to get out there with shotguns or whatever to get rid of them all. Now I shall show you why I'm using all the tractors on my farm at the moment. So I hardly ever have them all unlocked. As I said, this is unlocked because I always keep that unlocked when it's in my yards, and it's a way of tabbing back to my yard very quickly. So this tractor is doing the raking, and raking's not a job it takes a while to do with such a small rake. So often, because I'm mowing like about half a dozen paddocks at once normally, I don't normally feel like raking all of my paddocks before I start on the next job. So when I'm doing raking, what I often do is have the rake set up there, and this tractor's here ready to bale up the bales as the trailer brings them in. And this tractor is doing the baling as my rows are raked, paddock by paddock, I'm doing the baling. And then this one is picking up the bales. Now, this bale trailer here, I used to load them all by hand, but every time I do baling, either what's it called, silage bales, or in this particular case I'm doing hay bales this time, but often it's silage, I get between 40 and 50 bales depending on whether I'm trying to get 2 cuts or 3 cuts in the season, and it just takes so long to load that many by hand. I've decided to start using this trailer. Now, this trailer might actually be too modern for a farm that's set in the mid to late 80s, but I don't know if they ever did this for round bales or not, but I know they definitely did for square bales. They had conveyor belts that could basically attach the side of your truck or your trailer and would lift the bale up to the deck of the trailer for you. So if this trailer's too modern for a farm set in the mid to late 80s, then just imagine it's a normal flat deck trailer with a conveyor belt attached to the side of it. Okay, so we'll tab back to here and rake up this paddock. Now you will notice that I've got my rake hanging over onto the long grass a bit. That's because any time that I'm doing hay bales rather than silage bales, I'm having to spread the grass out. Sometimes a wee bit of it will get into the long grass at the edge of the paddock where I've been mowing. So I always, when I'm putting the windrower or the rake around here, I always hang it over the edge slightly if I'm doing hay. I don't bother hanging it over the edge if I'm doing silage, because I wouldn't have turned the grass, which is what can cause some of it to throw into the long grass from time to time. But it's only when I'm doing hay. I don't do hay very often, only when I'm running low for my cows. Generally what I do is I look at what am I running low on? Silage bales or hay bales. And if I'm not running low on anything, I do silage bales because they're worth a lot more money to sell. And if I am running low on something, then I'll do whatever it is I'm running low on. So this time, did I miss a bit there? I think I might have, I'm not sure. Go back and check. This time I'm running low on hay at the moment, hence I'm doing hay. I'm actually beginning to run a bit low on silage as well, so next cut I'll be doing silage. Now, I did say that I either get 40 or 50 bales per time, depending on how many cuts I'm trying to get in the season. And the reason for that is on this particular map, you can actually mow the grass one stage before the final growth stage. So from the second to final growth stage onwards, it will let you mow it. Now, I've discovered that if I mow it as soon as it reaches the first stage that it allows you to do mowing, then I can get 3 cuts in a year. Well, weather dependent. I mean, to do that, I've got to do my first cut in April, and that's fine. I can always do my first cut in April. But the third and final cut for the year is happening late October, early November, and it really does depend on the weather as to whether or not I can get that third cut in. Because if it's too wet, obviously I can't, and sometimes it is quite raining quite a lot by that stage. Oops, don't know what happened there. Sorry about that. But if I leave the grass to grow to the last growth stage before I mow it, then I always only get 2 cuts in for the year. So yeah, it depends. If I'm doing 2 cuts in the year, so I'm leaving it to the last growth stage before I'm mowing it, I get approximately 50 bales from my fields each time I mow. If I leave it till one growth before the final one, which I've done in this case, I only get about 40 bales out of my fields. So this time I'm expecting to get about 40, give or take. It does vary a wee bit. As you can see, I tend to keep away from the edges of the paddock a bit. That's partly because the mower I've got hangs out the right hand side of a tractor. So I'll show you, as I'm driving the tractor along here, the mower's out to the right hand side. Now, I know that I could turn around and do an anti-clockwise loop around the paddock at the end to get right in close with the fence. I don't do that because I tend to think any time I'm walking through the paddocks or anything, if I see a stone in the paddock, that would obviously damage the mower blade or potentially could damage some of my equipment, I pick up the stone and throw it at the edge of the field, or I kick it to the edge of the field, depending on the size of it and things. So, therefore, the edges of the field sometimes have stones in it, because that's as far as I kick them when I see them in the paddocks and things. So I tend to just not mow right to the edge. I just leave the edges like that. I don't know whether that's realistic or not, but it seems reasonably logical to me that you do that. So that's the way I do it. So you can see how you don't want to do too much of this windrowing or raking all at once, because with a fairly thin windrow like this, where you're doing every row you're doing like clockwise and anti-clockwise, or up the field and then down the field again, so it can take a while. And yeah, I don't normally feel like doing half dozen fields or so all at once without having a change of pace and doing something else. So that's why I bring out the tractors to do the baling and the carting of the bales off the field at the same time as I'm doing it. Well, I don't always do that, it does depend on how I feel at the time. Now, once all of these fields have been raked up, baled up, and the bales taken in off the field, the next job I'll have, which I may or may not do on camera, I'm really not sure, but I will have, I'll be putting down slurry into all of these fields, and then I will be putting down weed kill as well, because well, if you walk around the field right now, I'll show you in a second, get to the edge of this row and I'll show you. So wandering around This one right now, you'll see it says weeds growing, so you can't actually see any weeds yet because it's only just been mowed, but they are beginning to grow now, so they all need weed spraying. And that's one of the things that was actually a suggestion I made to the map makers of this map to get modified. This map originally didn't have weeds growing in any of the grass fields, it only had them growing in crop fields. And I sort of thought, well, I'm sure weeds must grow in grass fields as well. I know you can just leave them to grow and then mow over them, but it reduces your yield if you do that. So I asked them if they could make weeds grow in it, and they very, very kindly did that. And then, so now you have to weed kill the grass fields as well. Well, you don't, as I said, you don't have to. You could just leave the weeds to grow in it, but I prefer to get as good a yield as I can. So every grass field gets 2 loads of fertilisation and weed kill as well. And as I said to you in a previous video, one of the things I like to do is, because each field needs fertilising twice, I like to use a different method of fertilising the field each time. So I'm not, say, using slurry both times, or bought liquid or solid fertiliser each time. So I use 2 different things, and at the moment I've got 3 different ways I can fertilise a field without having to borrow or buy any other equipment, just with what I've got at the moment. I can do slurry, I can do use the roller, the grass roller, or I can use the bought solid fertiliser. I don't have a liquid fertiliser that I use, I bought one, and at the moment I don't use the solid poo from the cows either. I may look at buying a side spreader, one of those trailers later, because on this farm there are a lot of side spreader ones in the sheds, old rusty ones. I know that 4D modding do make a nice looking side spreader, so I may buy that and have 4 different ways of fertilising my fields, but at the moment I've only got the 3. I don't think my cows make enough manure that I could actually use that at the moment, but then again I also have seen a mod where you can just have a little wheelbarrow parked somewhere with a fork and manure in it, and it's actually a manure buy point, but because it's just a little wheelbarrow, not a big huge thing, what I could do is the same way that like it with my slurry at the moment. I have the slurry pit thing, or the slurry tank thing from my calf pen, and also I have another one that looks the same but is actually a slurry buy point, so it costs me money. I could do the same thing with the solid fertiliser. I could use the stuff that the cows are already producing and use that, and if I run out before I've finished fertilising all the fields, I could have this little wheelbarrow parked somewhere which would look the part on my farmyard, but is actually a buy point. So I might do that. It does mean downloading 2 more mods, as a slurry buy point mod, and also the trailer from 4D modding, the side spreader trailer from 4D modding. But yeah, I'm thinking that I might end up doing that. That would be quite good. Now once I've finished raking this field, which won't take long, I will show you the baling, because the baler I've got is a Vermeer brand, which probably isn't realistic for an Irish map. But the reason I've got that baler is I like doing round bales, and it's a very old looking baler, so it's one of the oldest looking round balers I've found, so that's why I use that one. I'm not too fussy with brands really, so I'm a bit more fussy about tractor brands than I am about equipment brands, but yeah, when it comes to equipment I'm not really fussy about brands. I go for what I like the look of, or whatever. But for the tractors I like to try and choose things that would be realistic to the size of the farm I'm doing, and also the country I'm farming in. And so of course this is an Irish map, this one, so Ford tractors fit straight in, Fiat Agri tractors fit straight in, the old International and David Brown here that I'm driving right now probably fit straight in. I'm not from Ireland, so I don't know whether they'd have any David Brown or international tractors there, but they quite possibly would. They've seen the part anyway. Almost finished this paddock now. And I'll show you the baler I've got. I've actually got a mod downloaded for my baler as well, which I want to show you. So the baler itself comes from the Vermeer DLC pack, so if you've got that DLC pack, the baler's from there. But I've got this mod I downloaded and it works on all round balers, so I'll show you that in a second because it's actually a really good mod. It didn't come from the mod hub. I do not remember for the life of me where I got it from, but I'll tell you the name of it in a minute when I demonstrate the mod to you, and if you Google it by name you'll find it no trouble whatsoever if you're wanting to download it as well. And I think it's a brilliant mod for anyone that likes to do round baling. Highly recommend it. So just have 2 more strips here to finish this field. You'll notice that every time I'm going backwards in this tractor I lift the rake, because I would imagine that if you go backwards without doing so, then you'd probably start breaking the tines. I don't want us doing that. So let's try and get all this stuff moved over so I can get it all into one row. Okay, that'll do it. Go up here, and then that's the raking finished for this paddock. I actually forgot to set my timer thing before I started this video, so I've got no way of knowing how long this video's been going for. I like to try and keep all my videos to under half an hour, so hopefully it is. Okay, let's just take this and park it in the next paddock that we're going to do. I'm going to put the hazards on since I don't have, this tractor doesn't have a beacon light on it, so I use the hazard lights when I'm on the roads like this, even though I'm on a dirt road which probably very few people apart from me would use at the moment, since it only seems to go to more paddocks that I own. But I don't want to get a ticket if a cop does come down here, so put the hazards on in lieu of beacons. Okay, so hazard lights can come off now. Park this tractor up here and tab to the next, to this one. So here's the baler that I was telling you about, the Vermeer baler, which comes in the Vermeer DLC pack, and I'm going to demonstrate in half a second about this mod that I've also downloaded. Now the mod is called Round Baler Extension, so if you decide you like this mod after seeing what it does, just Google FS22 Round Baler Extension and you'll find it. It's not hard to find. So what it does is, it's especially good, like often when I'm farming late at night and I might be lying in bed even with my wife sleeping beside me, so I've got to keep the volume fairly low in those circumstances so it doesn't wake her. And so what this mod does is it automatically stops the baler at 100%. So you don't accidentally end up running over with the baler, and after it's full. So yeah, it just stops the baler automatically at 100%. Now, if you stop in a bad place and you want to move the baler before unloading the bale, all you have to do is turn it off, and that will release the brakes on it. But as long as the baler is turned on, at 90% it slows down. Let's see this in a second here. There you go. And at 100% it stops altogether. So it's really handy, and it just locks the brakes on at 100%. And as I said, you can release the brakes by turning the baler off if you need to move it before you empty it. But otherwise, that's the way it works. And you can see what I mean about this baler looking fairly old. To a large part, I think it's just the colour scheme of it that makes it look old. But yeah, to me that looks a lot older than a lot of the balers in the game, which is why I use this one, even though it might not be a brand that's very well known in Ireland or used in Ireland at all. But it feels like this video's probably been going for about half an hour now, so I shall stop and catch you all later on. Thanks. Bye.